Today's lesson is Lesson 15, Coffee Plantations. You are probably familiar with the smell of coffee. In many homes, the deliciously rich aroma of coffee is one of the first things you encounter when you wake up. Many adults drink a cup of coffee in the morning to help them wake up and get ready for the day. However, even if your parents do not drink coffee, you are likely still familiar with the scent of it. You may recognize coffee's particular aroma from being in a coffee shop, restaurant, or at a friend's house. Besides its rich flavor and distinct smell, the coffee is famous for being a strong source of caffeine. Other things have caffeine, like black and green tea, as well as cocoa plants. But caffeine content of coffee is higher than these other naturally occurring sources. Caffeine is a stimulant. Stimulants are used to jumpstart the brain or other body systems. Sorry, I'm drinking a cup of coffee right now, so you'll have to listen when I get done. When people say that this morning's coffee wake them up, they are not exaggerating. That is exactly what caffeine is designed to do. It wakes up your brain and your nervous system so that you do not feel tired. It is the stimulant effect that people are referring to when they make comments about needing coffee to get them going in the morning. And it is something that your body can become quite reliant on. Historically, coffee was one of the most common and most concentrated way to get caffeine. Today, however, there are many other ways, from caffeinated soda to energy drinks and even natural supplements. Caffeine has taken center stage in Western culture, where people are working more and for longer hours. Their hurried approach to life has left many people in developed nations sleep-deprived and in need of some help to feel awake in the morning. Between the increased demand for alertness in a busy world and the tantalizing taste and aroma of coffee, it has become a major staple in people's lives. Coffee has been a part of the cultures around the world for a long time. The discovery of coffee as a stimulant has many different legends associated with it. Perhaps the best-known legend involves a goat herder in Ethiopia, noticing his goats were acting strange and energetic after eating berries off of a bush. As the story goes, the goat herder decided to try the berries for himself. He realized it had a stimulant effect and shared what he discovered with others. This event is said to have occurred in the 1st century AD, and although we do not know if the story is true or not, it makes an interesting origin story. Growing coffee. You have seen coffee beans many times, no doubt, but do you know how they are grown? The coffee plant is native to Africa, but today it is grown not only there, but also in Asia and Latin America. These famous beans grow on shrubs or short bushes. The coffee bean that you are familiar with is the seed of the shrub. The bushes have to be planted in an environment that are ideal for their growth. They do not tolerate freezing temperatures and must have adequate rain. In areas that do not have enough rain, coffee farmers irrigate their fields. Most coffee farms are huge operations and are called coffee plantations. The tropical evergreens are planted in huge swaths of green, cleared native forests. The plants take up 4 years to begin producing fruit. Once they finally blossom, it will take the better part of a year until the beans are ready to be harvested. This may seem like a long time, but coffee is in high demand around the world, making coffee plantations very lucrative and worth the wait for a new shrub to grow. Our hot button topic is because it must grow in certain climates, it is not possible to source coffee locally for many people in cold northern nations around the world. Many of the countries that grow coffee do not have strong labor laws. In some cases, this lack of regulation has led to the mistreatment of workers and a lack of fair play. Some plantations even employ child laborers in less than ideal conditions. This has led to important conversations about how to improve the livelihood of those working in coffee fields around the world. If you walk down the coffee and tea aisle at your local grocery store, you will likely see some bags that are labeled Fair Trade. The Fair Trade movement is designed to ensure that growers and farm laborers around the world are fairly compensated for their labor, while also helping the farmers develop their farms in substantiable ways. Product with the label may have a higher price tag, but you can be assured that the people who produce the products are treated better and are not taken advantage of. However, even the fair trade movement has some critics. Some people are concerned that the guidelines are not always enforced. Traditionally, coffee was grown in the shade. However, like many agricultural advances, today's new plantings of coffee shrubs are following new rules. Farmers have discovered that planting the bushes in only partial shade or in a full sunlight has substantial benefits. Bushes planted in these areas can produce up to 3 times as much yield as they do using traditional methods, so long as they are trimmed and fertilized properly and kept weed-free. The dark coffee brown color that you have come to associate with coffee is not how that bean looks when they are ready for harvest. Many people actually call what is harvested from the bush berries or cherries. The mature fruit is harvested when it is red or even a little bit purple and slightly soft. The seed inside is the coffee bean that is so desired around the world. Once the fruit is picked, it is squished until the beans fall out and then washed to remove any remaining fruit from the bean. The beans are fully dried again before they are shipped to roasters around the world. Equipment. Traditionally, coffee has been harvested by hand with only the ripe berries picked. Beans that are over or underripe negatively affect the flavor of coffee once they are processed. Quality control, therefore, is essential to a good harvest and building a reputation as a quality farm. Today, large plantations typically harvest in 1 or 2 ways: manually stripped all the berries from the plant to be sorted through later, or by a machine that shakes the bushes to harvest each fruit. Machine harvesting gives the plantation owner the advantage of finishing the harvest quickly, but can compromise the quality of the coffee that is produced. Coffee farming is done largely with manual labor on all but the largest plantations. There are some things that can help make a farmer's life easier. If the average rainfall for the year is not sufficient for the growth of the plants, some farmers make use of irrigation systems to bring water to them. They are also need a place to extract the seeds from the fruit and wash them off, as well as dry them before shipment. This requires a dedicated spot, although it can be done with rudimentary tools. Storage and processing. Once the beans are extracted from the coffee cherries and washed, they are ready to begin the next step in their transformation process from plant to morning beverage. They must be dried to the right moisture content or they will spoil in storage and shipping. If the beans are above a 13% moisture content when they are shipped, they risk becoming spoiled and wasted. When the coffee beans are sufficiently dried, they are packed in large bags and stored until they can be shipped to roasting facilities. Coffee is available in its natural caffeinated form and also decaffeinated. If the beans are to have the caffeine removed, it is done before roasting. There are different processes that remove the caffeine from the coffee beans. These include steaming or boiling the beans and treating them with chemicals, carbon filters, oils, or even gases. Once roasted, decaffeinated coffee allows someone to enjoy the flavor without the effects of the caffeine. Unroasted green coffee beans do not look like the ones you buy in the store. They are not glistening, nor do they smell delightful. They are small, dull, and greenish brown before they are sent to a roaster. Roasting coffee has become an increasingly common hobby in many places today. The advent of the internet and being able to find information easily has made it possible for people to make their own roasters or to buy small, commercially made one. Coffee can be roasted to a dark or light roast depending on how long it is heated. It must reach the temperatures of 482 degrees. As coffee beans roast, they darken and expand. This develops the glistening brown color we have come to associate with coffee. In a commercial roaster, the beans are then rapidly cooled. Most roasters believe that their coffee has optimal flavor between a week to 2 weeks after roasting. Roasting your own coffee beans gives you control of the process and gives you the opportunity to always have optimal coffee at your fingertips. Did you know that there is a unique and strange way that some coffee is processed? The civet is a small cat-like creature that lives in parts of Africa and Asia. Some coffee farmers use these animals to help harvest and process their coffee. Civets love coffee berries, but they are very picky about which berries they eat. They only select the best of the best berries to snack on. Once they have eaten the berries, the beans come out in their droppings. Although they look whole, the digestive system of the civet removes some of the bitter components of the beans. Once the beans have been cleaned and roasted, they make for a smoother cup of coffee than ordinary beans. This coffee, although it sounds gross, is quite sought after. People pay high prices for it, despite its strange processing method. To the table. Regardless of how coffee was discovered, it has been a popular drink around the world for centuries. Coffee houses first arose in the Arab world in the 15th and 16th century. Mecca and Istanbul became hubs for the new movement, and coffee became a way of life for the people. Coffee houses were places that men met to drink coffee and discuss important ideas and concerns. They were popular not only because of the drink available, but for the camaraderie and friendship that developed over a cup of joe. This is a common habit around the world still today. If you pay attention to how adults talk about hanging out, you will often hear them ask each other when they can go for coffee. Even if someone doesn't drink coffee, it's almost like it's a code word for adults that means hanging out. Just a few decades ago, coffee was a fairly simple concept in Canada and the United States. Roasted beans were usually purchased already ground and added to the filter of a coffee maker. Hot water was run through the beans and it resulted in rich dark coffee. This dark coffee beverage was either drunk plain or black, or it was sweetened with sugar and had some cream added to it. While there are still many people who drink coffee this way, there's a strong movement towards sourcing coffee ethnically, which often comes with experimenting with coffee flavors that come from different regions and trying out different recipes. Many enthusiasts even take an interest in the traditional ways it is served in other countries. Today, a visit to your local cafe can be confused with all the options on the menu. Some shops offer dozens of drinks that have coffee component, from steaming hot lattes to frothy blended iced coffees. The number of flavors that can be purchased is nearly endless, with baristas around the world using their creativity to add new options to the world of coffee today. A hands-on activity would be to research how to roast your own coffee beans and make a batch for your family to sample. This concludes our lesson 15 for today.